Thank you, everybody, for showing up to this LegalShield and Fieldnotes webinar that we do. This is July 13th, Monday, and today I am going to go over uploading data from LS Engaged. So there's other places where we can upload data. However, I'm going to do a little tutorial on how I would, if I had your guys' data in my hands, how long it takes me to, so I want to run the clock. It's 1:05, and we can kind of start it once I kind of get into it. And then I feel that it's straightforward. However, I've done it a million times. So maybe that's why I don't see it as such a complicated event. And I really don't complicate myself. Now, what I can tell you in hindsight is I don't complicate myself because I've seen others not complicate themselves. So I kind of just follow their lead when it comes to data and not necessarily everything they want to, well, they would love to, right? But however, since we're limited with mapping specific data and doing things like such, that it just becomes an issue, right? When it comes to trying to get as much data over. And so you've got to pick your battles. The less amount of information that you upload makes it just that much more easier, right? That is just the fact of things. And so the more you can understand that, right, the best your experience I think will have. Because if you can live, and you know what, there's another thing that I say to people is, what are you going to do with that data? Is it just to reference the data? Because just like you have open Shield at work, you could have open Fieldnotes. If something you have here in somebody's account isn't there, you can quickly go look at it in a different place, right? So yes, it would be great to have all of that data in one place, but FYI, the more data that you have to import, the more data you have to update, the more data that you have to stay on top of. And that's almost a full-time job in some cases, right? So you definitely want to pick your battles. If what we're talking about is getting people's names and numbers so we can set up campaigns, then you just need names, numbers, and emails. And plan, like what kind of product they have. But when it comes to, if you're not going to be following up with, you know, like the users, why import that data? If there's things that you're not going to, if there's like dates and what other categories in which you're really not going to manage in the sense of either following up with people, alerting people of, or doing something with that data, you might as well cut your losses and then not map it and not have to deal with it. And if every once in a while you did have to deal with it, those can be, you can create yourself like a template for it just so that you could do those little one-off emails and have a template ready to go, copy, paste, ship it out, basically done, and not really have to kind of sweat over the details. So with that said, we can get this party started. And so I've got some dummy data that I took from you guys. I took the gist of the data, right? Like your headers, that kind of thing, and then the rest of the data I just kind of made up. So with that said, hopefully this will give us let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, and then we can look at this and we can see how long it takes me really to take your guys' data and do something with. So this is the data in question. I froze this line, and so I don't know if that's going to cause problems, but we'll look at it in a minute. And then this is LS Engaged, so it basically goes up to here, pre-cancel. This data gives you the group number for the ones that are grouped, gives you this little category that gives you this, but that's it. Let me see, what else do we get? We get some dates, production, effective date, then we get the addresses, typical, address information, cell phone, home, email, name. Now, there is a challenge with the name, and there is a challenge with the products, but I'm going to show you how I managed to use AI to do that. If you know Excel better than I do, well, then feel free to use Excel with all of their little split. And in fact, since this one has the names first, then last, I think you could do one of those. I think it's like a formatting tool where it will split. That is perfectly fine. But when it is last name, first name, Well, you could still do that when there's middle initials. I don't think this one has any middle initials. I guess MD. Um, and then I don't think I see any business names. So with business names, it's a little bit weird too because it'll have part of the business as a last name and then the first name and then LLC somewhere. So obviously that takes a little bit of manipulating. But for that alone, for these two, splitting up the names into two different fields, I use AI for. When I use AI for reformatting these dates because for whatever reason, it doesn't format them correctly when I try to use Excel. But let's uh let's take a look at this, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab like just for testing purposes, I'm going to grab like up until 47. And I'm just going to copy that and put it in a second sheet just so that we can look at it separately. Now, one thing you need to do when pulling and updating your data and importing data, right, is for the ones that start out and don't have data like I do, where I've already have companies and names and things like that in the system, we're going to essentially just pick one line. If everybody, well, if you're starting out and you don't have anybody, put yourself in or put my contact in, right? You can put me in as your first dummy contact. I have no problem. Or you can put yourself in. Both of those contacts will work because you can test. And I don't care getting action plans sent and tested on me because at the end of the day, if it helps you and I can review, you know what I mean? I'm all up for it. So I would just check one and then I would download the data because what I need access is to all your columns and I need access to all your headers. So the headers is this one, and I don't want to download everything. I just want to download one just to make it easy and simple. It will go ahead and download that file, and this is her. So I've got all of your headers up at the top. And essentially, what I need to do with that is I need to put that on top of your LS engaged headers. So I go ahead and add a row. So now I have a clean row, and now I can go here and I can copy this row, minimize it, and I can paste it. So now I've got field notes headers, LS engaged headers, right? This is field notes, this is LS engaged. And essentially what I do so that I don't have to go back and forth from this page and then pull from here, right? Just well, you can't copy, I guess you can use the edit field notes. And then here you can copy paste, right? So to not do that and having to go back and forth to the file, that's why I copy your data down and then I go ahead and put it on top so that I can just sit here, make this full screen, and I can work from this and not have to go back and forth. That's just me. I think it makes things that much easier. And so since we have quite a bit of movements to do, right? We've got to consolidate all of these lines, right? And contacts into one line. So the ones that are duplicates that have LegalShield and ID Shield plans, they need to be made into one. They can't be two lines because one's only going to get taken and then the other one's going to error out. And then that's going to cause a problem, right? So with that said, let's begin. What I like to do with this column here is I like to add one. It can be before or after, really doesn't matter, right? I like to make the first one LegalPlan, and then I like to make the second one ID Shield. But in reality, it doesn't matter as long as it has the correct header. It's going to get detected and the data is going to go to the right place. I need to do the same with the name. In some cases, I'll do, that one, I'll do it in front of it. So after. When there's middle initials and things like that, I mean, I guess you can, if you're using that one internal rule, not internal rule, but if you use Excel to do the what is it, the formatting of it, then you might need to create more, which is fine by me. As long as you're left with two fields, first name and last name, it'll get mapped correctly, right? So that's the essential thing. Emails, we can always keep one. Cell phones, we can keep one. We're just going to have to change the header to it. Home phone, I'll teach you about that one. And let's look at, let me change this to different. Oops, me too. And then I guess we can make this one. Wow, how did that happen? Perfect. So that one is the same because it's the same line. This one's somebody else. Okay, good. Just go ahead and save that for shits and giggles. There we go. So, creating an additional line here, then doing one for the name. And I think so far, that's all we need to do. So what we need to do is we need to begin to set up our headers, and then we're going to most likely format. That's what I like to do. So with the first name, I'm going to grab the first name header and I'm going to put it over name. I'm going to take the last name one and I'm going to put it over the D cell. So now I have first name in C. I got last name in D. Let's go find Legal Shield and Identity Shield. We can copy them both together and we can just take them over. And then we can go ahead and we've got ID Shield here and we got LegalPlan in the next one. Perfect. Email is email, so that's fine. Primary contact is primary contact slash cell phone is the main slot where the cell phone needs to be, because when you set up text messaging campaigns, it will assume that one is the one where the cell phone is, right? So I can copy that one and I can put it over cell phone. Home phone, I think we have one that just says home phone. So that will get picked up. So I'm not going to highlight it because it's the same thing. Address line one, we have it called address. So if you wanted, you could do this, delete it, or you could copy it, right? So for the second one, I'll copy it because that is address line 2. And now we have address 2. We've got city, state, zip, city, state, and zip. And then we've got production date and effective date. I'm pretty sure we have those exact wording, production date, effective date. So we're not going to change those ones. Yep, those are, and then reinstate date. As you can see, this one has zeros. I don't know what one would use this for, right? Myself say, I guess there is logic behind it. However, I haven't seen the person other than one person say that they want it, right? So if you wanted it and you had dates here that you needed to capture, you've got a couple of options, right? If you're not capturing the person's wedding anniversary, let me see if this shows, does it say wedding anniversary or does it say spouse's birthday, wedding anniversary? So wedding anniversary could be a good place to put it because you guys most likely aren't, checking up on people's wedding anniversaries. You could definitely make reinstate date a wedding anniversary. So if you're here and you haven't made this change prior, this is what I would do. I would go to the reinstate date and I would go ahead and copy it. And then I would go find in this list, it is wedding anniversary, put in reinstate date and save it. And now this, when you go to push this up, it will get recognized, right? So that's how I would do that. If you wanted to, then I would just make sure that it's formatted correctly, which is month, date, and then 4 Ys so that it is Y, and that is the full year, right? So that is the format in which our system detects it. You guys, unfortunately, have year, month, and then date. So that's just how Shield LS engaged plan type. I don't want to say that this is not needed because of course it could be needed, right, for you guys. But the way that I see it is because this has been you guys with me. You guys immediately know what a plan is based on its number, whether if it's 1 or 7. That's just been something everybody has stated to me. So this plan type might be redundant in some case, right? So to save it, I don't know. That's up to you, but I see a lot of people just disregarding this one. And so not even an issue. So what I like to do when I'm not gonna, like data that I'm not going to use, I just like to highlight it with some type of color so that I can just have like a visual tool to ignore it.
Well,
Billing amount,
the plan type lists the business plan. It could list in there the CDLP plan. It's a possibility.
It is. But if you have a field for your CDLP, right?
Okay,
And
right.
if the number was there, that to me would kind of like do the same, right? And the whole thing about this is not to like overthink it.
Mhm.
in the sense that everything has to be in there, blah, 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 because at the end of the day, what do you do with it? Right now with this field, you can use the filter, right? And the filters are just like the triggers. So when you go to the CDLP plan, the filter, or sorry, the trigger is empty or not empty. Just like when you would use it to figure it out, if somebody had like to see how many people you have that have CDLP, you would go, this field is not empty, and anybody with the number in that field most likely has that product, right? So that's why I say that. Good observation for you, and I definitely thank you, Katina, for bringing that to my knowledge, just so that I have it as food for thought. But at the end of the day, still rule applies about what do I do with it? How am I going to use it? This is how you would be using it, and so I would say less is best in that case, right? We don't want to overly think things, sit here and contemplate it, because then 20 minutes go by and you still got a lot of work to do. That's just the reality of it, right? So, um, good thing, however, we're still going to decide to leave it out. Now, the business channel, that could be that you want to see whether if you're obviously this status of group or if it's a network. I don't know how you guys just look at stuff and know, but a lot of people I've seen where they just look at their data and they're like, oh yeah, I know he's from a group. I know he's from not. And so this could be up in the air. But if somebody were to say to me, I want to keep that, that I have a reason for that, right? What I would do is think of a sphere is what I would do. And then so what I would do is to see if I had these in my spheres, is I would go through this and I would look and say, oh, okay, these are the two categories that are coming up that I need to have in my sphere. So I would move this over to the side. I would open up new contact, and spheres are in whatchamacallit, in categories, and I would go to the manage items, and I'm gonna look. Do I have that? No, I don't. So I would just copy it, put it here, hit save. I don't see one with any T either. I'd hit save. I'd hit done. Now, now I have those in my spheres. And so what I would do is I would go get spheres as sales cycle status. Here we are. We're coming up on it. And I would put that in business channel. Group, we got to find that one as well. This one's an easy one. It just has a hashtag. So you can, like I said, copy it, or you can just add the hashtag billing amount. Now, this is also something else. People say that they want it. The thing with this is, since we're going to consolidate the ones that are doubles, this is a price for one, and then it's a price for the other. I know these prices are off, right? Because it wouldn't have the same price. It would be most likely different. But what you could do, and I did see somebody do this, where they did like a slash, and then they put the second price, right? Now, if we look at the corner of this header, oh no, of our header, let me get to see if we can find billing amount. And I don't know if that is monthly premium. Is that something safe to say? Or I don't think there is a billing one. I think it's the monthly premium. But if you hover above this monthly premium, it'll tell you text type. So if it says text type, you could easily go into this. Now, once again, there's more work to do, right? But line 4 is 7. So the first one is ID Shield. How do you guys IDS? And then you could do the second one, ID Shield, and then I guess what, LegalPlan? And then you could have, if it was, I know the numbers are off, right? But you could have the second one. And then so here in one line, it would represent both of the products. This I don't think is a problem. However, you would have to do that for every one of these that you found. So if you have a big group, it could be a lot. Want to save yourself some time, don't put it in. That would be my suggestion. However, everybody has their own needs where they would need to see that. And so I would ask myself, how many times do I go into Shield at work to look at somebody's information, right? And and if you don't do it too often, it might not even be something you really want to worry about. So that's what I would ask myself. And if it's not too many times, I probably wouldn't complicate things. The pre-cancel one, I've had people express that they need it, they want it because they want to know. But once again, you're going to have to find a place to put this information and then do what with it. This is 19 days. So you want to set up like a reminder in 19 days. What I might do, if that's the case, like you want to be reminded in 19 days or that you have 19 days left with the plan before they go pre-cancel, is maybe like you highlight it, give it like a highlight, and then at the end, you'll have a file with all of these rows highlighted. And then maybe you go in one by one and you set up an appointment. That way you can follow up with that, send it out, maybe a pre-cancel or do something along that lines. Or maybe start a pre-cancel action plan, but in 20 days or in 15 days that says something like, hey, you're coming up for pre-cancel. Did you know that you could take your plans with you? Stuff like that. And then hopefully they see that email, and then hopefully the action plan maybe lives for 15 days while it's, still fresh for them. That's maybe how I would manage that. But to really kind of import it, I don't really think there is, not that there's a reason to, but just makes things a little bit more complicated on uploading the data when you want to kind of get to this done quickly. So this one is one that I would most likely highlight to ignore. Billing amount, we need to switch that one over to the monthly premium. Let me go and change that one out real quick. And I would say we've got all of your LS engaged data with the corresponding header, right? And that's number one. All of these have the same header. And so now you can delete the top one and just be left with your headers for pushing the data. So let's go ahead and delete this one. Now, what do I like to do first? That really isn't, I kind of like to start from here and then move my way that way. That's just how I see things. But you can do it in any which way order as long as everything gets done correctly. So let's do a little bit of the movements that we need to do, right? So this all has to be on one line. I can see these are double. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and cut this one and put that one there. This one's going to stay blank, but I'm just going to leave it alone like that. Now with this one, this is a 7. So this can't be in the legal plan slot. I just have to move it over. All of these ones can stay right where they are. These two, I can grab them in bulk, move them over, and you will be essentially doing this until you see like a double. Then obviously you want to make that adjustment. So with this one, not a double, just copy, move it over. Are there any doubles with these two? Nope. So move those over. This one is a no. Move that one over. This one goes next to this one because it is the same line. This Carlos guy, we'll have to move him over. Let's see about this one. Not a double. Still got to move it over. This one, we move it over. And this one, we move it over. This one, we move it over. And then this one, we move it over, but onto the same line as this Anthony Reed. And there we go. So we've done that movement. Now we most likely can start to split up the names. So what I like to do is I like to highlight this whole list, and I'll simply just copy it. And I'll say to any chat that you're using, in this list, and then I like to put quotes and I like to put the list in it. Let me see. Okay. In this list, just go ahead and delete that because apparently it just posts this information in an image, which is fine by me. Let's see if it works. So in this list, give me the first names. Actually, let's do the last names first. Last names. And I'll tell you why I'm good. So let's see if it goes ahead and understands my request. Something went wrong. Why do you say? In this list, there we go. Give me the last name. First, okay. Let's see if it gave us all of them. I want to say at least it did. So I'm just going to highlight them and copy them and go back to, our file. And I might need to paste another one after. There we go. So here, let's go ahead and grab the whole line and do an unformatted text so that you can see that it puts it in each one, right? And let's hit OK. I see. So it only it didn't duplicate it for the doubles, right? So that could be an issue. If that happens, you want to insert and you want to shift down. And then now we have, and then I would, yep, that aligns it. And then so I would copy this one and put it where it needs to be. But let's see if this does the one, this follows through, Pata Perez. So this, in this case, all you would really kind of do is like some spot checking just to make sure that obviously, so Mills. So I don't know why it did that there, but you can see that when you spot check, you've got, right, everything's in order. So that's why I like to do it like this, because obviously I don't want to lose that. But looks pretty solid. The movements. Now I can go back to Gemini and say, now give me the first. And it will most likely give me all the names. So now I usually use ChatGPT, but I was using it this morning, and for whatever reason, it said I have exhausted up to my free limit. So let's see, Coleman, and there's the list. I don't think this is the last names. Reed Acosta, give me the first names. Now give me the first names. I don't think it, but I'll try again. Yeah, there's a point where I think it, crap, what are you doing? Well, we'll just do without. And let me go back to this file and let's paste like we did before and do an unformatted text. Let's just drop it. Let me see here. This is Brenda. And then let me go ahead and insert, move the cells down, do the same. Guess I don't know how I lost that, but
Jeremy, wouldn't it be easier to delete all the lines you don't need first before you went and changed all of that?
I do that at the end.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason, because I've had moments in where I've done it like the first thing, and then there's data such as these datas or something like that, and then so I do the last deletion at the end. That's just something that if you were to ask me like you did, I do the deletion at the end. And so, and it's because usually sometimes something will happen that I need to see the data, and then if I've already deleted it like as I go, to backspace to it is hell, because then it'll change a lot of the stuff that I was supposed to do. So I always leave when it comes to deletion at the end, such as these ones. I'll delete them at the end, just in case I needed to see something there or something along those lines. But, and then let's see if we still got Joshua, Stephanie, Aaron, Amanda. I want to see where and what time did it just started to lose its numbers. Oh, so who knows where it got all of these. But I guess we can just clear the content because we don't need it. But when you look, Natalie, Andrew, Stephanie, Mark, Timothy, Amy, right? If it wasn't in order, by you just skipping 10 at a time, you'll see where it kind of goes funky. Roger, Patrick. So now I essentially have these both broken up. And then all with this one, I would just kind of cut it, move it over. And then this one, I can highlight and delete later just in case I need to look at something. So if we look at, no, emails is not necessarily the problem. It has to do with this. I've seen before. You'll have primary contact full, but you'll have the home number full, but you'll have no cell phone number. Every time I've asked you guys have been, these are most likely the cell phones that they just put in the home number, right? So you can just basically grab them and move them over. It's better to leave home blank than to have the primary contact blank. And then so I would just slowly grab them and move them over. Slowly grab one, move it over. Now, for me, I did these in chunks just to demonstrate this kind of movement that you have to do. But most likely you guys, you'll see it all discombobulated in different areas. And it's just something that one has to kind of deal with, right? But do keep in mind that you may have to move these ones over from home phone into the primary contact. And these are all 10 digits. These are all essentially formats in which valid phone formats. So if it had quotes with the area code, space, and then 3 numbers, and then a dash, that's valid. So any format, but I just made it simple for myself. Keep them 10 digits. System should pick up onto it with no problem. any zeros that you may see within the phone number, I would remove them because our system will not recognize that as like a valid format, right? So it's best that you remove them and not import them at all like that. Let's see what other stuff that we have to do. Oh, we've got to format these dates. So once again, I highlight just one row at a time and I go to chat, whether that be this Gemini or some other. And I would say change the format to month slash day slash YYY. And let me spell this correctly. Change the format of this list. And then there's the dates too. And I would hit go. And let's just cross our fingers and see if it gives me the dates in which I need. Interesting. It is doing a good job. I don't know why it does this show more stuff, but okay. This is regenerate. This is share export. What else do we have? Let's try copying it and seeing if that, let's bring this file back and let me right click. Let me just unformat. And of course, that is not what I like. So that didn't work. Why does it do that? So I can copy it and now I can, nope, wrong one. And let's format, or let's use the unformatted text, that one. And then here it'll give me this. And that's all of the lines that I need. And, oh, that's what I like to do. I like to put after. And then I like to paste into this one because then I still have to make sure that I have the correct dates. Yes. So I do Control, hold Shift, V, and that's where it gives me this option. And then I can say this and format quoted fields as a text. Not sure if that's the right one, but it did come up with this format. So let's go ahead and format the cells real quick. And then let's look for this one. Perfect. I like that. Nice. So let's go ahead and put another one there. Let's copy this. Copy this. Now, in some cases, I've been able to do this. Like with ChatGPT, it's really cool. Once you've done it once, you can literally just do the same. You can just do the same, or I have just pasted the list and then just hit enter, and then like it understands, right? So convert the dates with the required format. Thank you. So definitely, anything you can save time with, but test it out. I always make sure that it's, this is thumbs down. And then, so let me just go ahead and just follow the same. Let me go copy on this side to month slash day slash, and let's see if it does the same. Yeah, do it as before. So I can copy the dates. Oh my God, you're horrible. Oh, okay. I can settle with that. There they are. Not sure why the AI started to do this little new format, but I mean, it is computers, and so what can we say? But I try not to let it like park break me, if you understand what I'm saying with that.
Maybe you didn't say the word list in your request the next times around.
Well, what I wanted to do is to test, because there's times like with ChatGPT does it really, really well. Because when you're doing this, you're most likely, it's not just one of these lists that you're doing. Well, no. So with LS Engaged, that is just one list and it has everybody, right? But when you're doing it Shield at work, you're getting group data, right? And since this isn't the day or time to show group stuff, it will cause you to like do it over and over. And that's where I'll do one file after another, and then I can just take like a whole list of first names and it'll give me the first names first. And then I'll say last names, and then it'll give me last names. Barely do I need to like tell ChatGPT the whole request again. I can literally just make it do it once, and then I can say, do the same, do it again. And then I just dump the data and it listens. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about that is like it saves you time, but only when it does it. There's cases in which it doesn't, in like this case, but that was Gemini. So that's a different AI and a different AI tool. And so not all of them work the same. So what I'll do now is just move this one over to here, move this one over to here. And now these ones I can delete because I no longer need it in this format. And then what else do we have to do? Oh, now we can basically go back and delete. Oh, I got to remove these zeros because what I don't want these zeros to show up is in the group number as a 0.
Mhm.
That to me, it's not going to hurt anything. But when you try to go filter stuff and you want to say, well, let me just look at the group numbers from people who have group numbers in there, that 0 is going to then say, oh, well, there's a character in there. So it'll bring up a bunch of people that you didn't want. And so let's go ahead and delete these manually. All right, so we've got that done. Now what we can do is we can go and delete these ones that are duplicates. I like to hold, what is it? Control, I think. Yep. Control allows you to highlight more than one. And all you're really looking is for the lines that have nothing, right? So it looks like we only got 3. And now we can delete these and delete the entire row. And beautiful. Now I need to delete this one. Then I need to delete this one. I think I can hold, yep, do more than one at a time. These are all ones that we're not going to grab. Perfect. And then so delete the columns. Now there's one thing that I would make a note of at this moment. Now that I have this data clean, ready to go, I would go from here, count just this column, and this will tell you that there is 17 columns. And that is going to be important for the following. So now I'm going to copy this. And now we're going to go back to uploading data. So we're going to hit the upload button, start uploading. Now, of course, you could save this file, but I have 2 sheets. So this is not going to recognize one or the other sheet. This is only going to recognize the first one. So I would have to delete the first sheet. If I didn't want to do that, I will just copy this information and I'll use this click here to copy paste data table in. I like this one a lot. So I will just paste it in and I'm going to use this to select tab and then I'm going to hit next. And if you look, you'll see that this is organized correctly and it's telling you that it recognizes the header, all the headers, right? It recognized them all. And this one is the one that you want because that is the header. So now we can hit next. And now all I'm going to do is count 17. So the ones that say select column, I'm not going to count. It's the only ones that have been recognized. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The rest are select columns, haven't been selected. Now you would essentially hit next and the data is going to fly in. It's going to do this. Now, when you get this, this is where errors are going to show themselves. So if you've got a long list, as you can see, going through each one of these to figure out where the pink spots are is a pain in the butt. I immediately just go to show all invalid rows. And if you see where it says no data found, you mapped everything correctly. You formatted everything correctly. Everything will go in correctly. Even these were recognized through spheres and were accepted. So all of these is going to import all the data. And you did this from the initial upload, which is going to save you guys a lot of time overall. So now this tells me your upload has been completed. I'm going to go to my email because you're going to get an email from Sparky that's going to talk about this upload summary. So this is somebody else's upload summary. So let's have a conversation as to any questions, because I'm going to wait for this before I end the session so that you guys can see how many of the rows that I uploaded, how many of that got accepted. If there's any errors, well, then we can most likely look at it. But the error that would come up is where it sensed that there was a duplicate based on the name, the phone number, the email. And so, do you guys have any questions as to what I did so far? I made it seem simple, and I only can do that because I've done it, like I said, a million times. But when you guys do it for yourself, whether if you're doing it from Shield at work, that's where you're going to be saying to yourself, okay, I did it a lot. But if you're doing it from LS Engaged, then you're most likely going to do the mega push, which is your first upload. And then all you have to do is recognize the production date from the last date that you uploaded, and then just start from there, highlight those far and a few. Well, I don't want to say far and a few, but if you're a heavy producer, then you're obviously going to have more to deal with. But if you've just got, let's say, from the last time that you did that upload, 20, then 20 it will be, right? So let me see if did the data come in, and it did. But is that for me? Field note support. Yep, that's mine. And so I'll show you what the email looks like. It's this. Comes from Sparky. Field note support is going to have your email there. So since I have that email there, that's where it's coming. It's going to tell me that there was 43 rows of data found and 43 new contacts were created. If you had an error, there would be the number of error contacts here, and then there would be a, whatchamacallit, there would be an Excel that you could click and download. And when you click and download that, it'll send you the Excel file in which you can then review line by line, and you can use this file that you were using. You can go in there and figure out if Carol Cantrell was the one that was the problem one. You can go in here and you can look and you can see what of this data showed up as a duplicate in here, and then you can search it and see maybe it's that you had her, maybe she's just like a personal friend, so you had her in there as a normal contact, and then you're trying to upload data for her, and that's why it errors out, right? Because it recognizes her name, her number, and her email address, so system's going to block that. So what you could do is you could just pull her up, let's just say this is the contact, and then add in that information on the fly. So now we have the new, this is where Paul came in. This is, some generic information. This is the category. This is the sphere that got associated. These are the production dates. This is the monthly premium amount, all there. And you could go through if you wanted to spot check, but if you did it once, you most likely did it correct. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily like to sweat and get OCD on it, but I'll go through and just check, do like a spot check. And if your spot check works or looks to check out, then why, you know what I mean? Why kind of make yourself kind of go through each one and do all of that kind of stuff? I would just say that would be more just time consuming when you have other times to do other stuff. And then so there you go. I put in 43 contacts. Did take me an hour. So I thought I was going to be able to get it done within 30 minutes, but I guess doing all the explanation and slowly kind of going through it and Gemini acting the way that it acted. I usually use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is just, I guess, better in the cases that I've used it. So if you guys don't necessarily use up all of your availability, your free availability like I do, then it is what it is. So, but yeah, this was basically uploading LS Engaged information. Any questions so far, what you've seen?
Okay, I did write down a question.
There you go.
So you made a new Excel spreadsheet and put all the stuff from LegalShield onto there, LS Engage onto there, and then you were changing header names from what LS Engage says to make it say what Fieldnotes likes.
Yes.
Right? And so when all of those now look like Fieldnote names, then you went back and deleted the line of LegalShield names, right?
No.
Header.
I kept the LS Engaged ones, but because I pulled from Fieldnotes headers and I just put them on top of the LS Engaged line. So what I did is I switched them all out to
Okay,
what
so
Fieldnotes
yeah.
has.
So
And then
it
I
looks,
deleted Fieldnotes because if you didn't do that, what it was going to do was, one, it will be complicated because it'll have two headers, right?
uh-huh.
System won't want to recognize that, right? It's going to get confused. So, and then Fieldnotes headers goes all the way to God knows how many columns, right? So I wouldn't want to keep all of those because then it's going to map a bunch of data that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's going to make it more confusing to where the point of uploading just these 17 uh, columns that are the important ones, then I can just count at the end while uploading, I can just count that our system recognized 17 columns. So if it recognized 17 columns,
And
I'm pretty sure all the data has been
so you
set.
changed everything to field note names so that field notes would receive it.
Correct. I just use, see, so
Okay.
if I didn't copy the field notes one above the LS engaged, it's
Yeah.
going to cause you to go back and forth. Now, I have two screens, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how many of you guys have two monitors. Most likely you don't, right? So for the ones that don't have two monitors, you can't put the Excel on one side, have access to the field notes, and then just go from here, go from here, go to there, go from here, go to there. That would be the best, not the best thing, but that's just one way of doing it because you have two screens. So what I suggest is to download, get access to the field notes headers, and just put it up at the top, right? Just insert a row, dump it there. That way, all you have to do is just go left and right and find the ones and then change the ones out in the Ellis engaged one. And then once you've done that and you've gotten all of the ones for Ellis engaged lines to change to field notes, then you just come in here and delete the field notes one, and then now you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And then now you know all of these fields of data are mapped 100% the way field notes recognize it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then when you were moving the ID numbers over, you were just copy pasting, right?
I was cutting. I was cutting it and moving it over because if you copy paste it, it
Oh,
doesn't leave the little holes.
okay. Okay.
And then it'll make it a little bit more not difficult, but then you'll have two lines and then you won't have that little blank spot. So I like that little blank spot because that allows me to go through and kind of just pick up the holes and then
Right.
you can just delete them all at once. So I use the cut feature.
Okay.
Yeah. But everything else, pretty straightforward, right? To get your data in. And now you can then go in here and if you wanted to, sort by group to do some mass editing, right? You could do that. Or you could take an extra step ahead, right? And you could map from the beginning, which is go to the end and then just put the ones that you want here, the categories that you want to map here, like you can like the ones that you would want to map are these ones most likely. The sales cycle status, the status, right? Those are the ones that you most likely want to map because those are the ones that are these prospects. So with these people, they're servicing, right? So you would want to copy this. So what you would do is you would copy this and put this here. That's the header. And then you would go and say, well, these are all servicing. And then you would put the servicing in, then you would just do it twice, copy that. You can just highlight this whole row, paste it. Now they're all servicing. So that when you do this whole upload, it'll also put them in as servicing. Now, does anybody know why you would do this like this? It does two things. It saves on you having to do a mass edit in the system, right? Because it's already going to get mapped with that information. And if you had your action plans that use these as triggers, as you dumped in 42 new leads, they would all get the categories that are what our system is waiting for to set off action plans. And so you would be killing more than one bird with one stone by just uploading all the data, getting these categories in as well. These people would get entered in, and within 10 to 15 minutes, it would start their campaign. So you literally could just dump it in there, do it once, go get go get on lunch, go start cooking yourself lunch, go do a set of laundry. You know what I mean? Just keep busy because but if you didn't, you would have to mass edit. You would then have to go and go to your action plans and then trigger your action plan. Now you could trigger from here as well, from going to here. You could do that as well, but you would have to know based off of the categories that you gave the person, right? Whether if it was a status of servicing and then whatever product they're a member of, right? So if you had to go in one by one and do this, it would be best maybe to do that straight from the file, and then everybody would go in. And then see, like with this, you could do, let me just look at the group stuff. And then now you could just basically set up categories for everybody based on the group, which is a lot easier, right? And then you could go back to here, remove this one, go back to networking, and then you can go ahead and give the networking, which might be that they have different combinations of the service, right? So it could mean that they get a different category, and then you could do that all through here by filtering in this Excel, which is a little bit different from than our system, set this all up, and then have this file ready to go and use this file to upload and update your data. So that's what I would do if I had to upload some LS Engage data. And I hope this is, for everybody who has this as a challenge, is no longer a challenge. And then this video will be uploaded, I wouldn't say shortly, but maybe within the week, so people can review it later on and have it for their own, almost likely refer people a lot to this video. Be like, go watch this video. You're going to need it if you're
Now
uploading
this,
data.
now this is not the way we upload groups, is it?
Groups a little bit different. However, same concept. Same concept.
Just
However,
little different
it's
steps.
just a little bit different because group is different in general. And from the last time that Cassie did it, we had like a really good instruction manual, but some things have changed. We've got more categories. So I think I'm going to plan something like this for Thursday for the group, just to go over what it is to get the stuff and to do the stuff from the group.
That'd be
stuff.
really helpful.
So for the
This
ones
was
that,
really good. This was really good today.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All righty, everybody. It's a pleasure. I do thank you guys for stopping by. And
Thank you, Jeremy.
see you guys this Thursday if you show up. Ciao, ciao.
Hey, one more thing. Do you know how come the tomato blushed?
Because it was picked.
It saw the salad dressing.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you, Catch you. Yep.
Okay.
You're welcome. Ciao, ciao now.